even beyond the physical presence. And that is the alertness, that is the realization that is sometimes called awakening. And that is the place also of stillness, where you get out of the mental noise. And that is the source place of creativity. That is intelligence that is non-conceptual. It's primordial intelligence. And if you touch that in yourself, then at first as glimpses, as brief realizations, and then gradually integrate it into your daily life, then you can live from that place, the source, and be not only a more productive human being, but also a more peaceful human being, because then you no longer contribute to the conflict in this world, because the conflict is only created by all those humans who don't know that level in themselves. They don't know who they are. And again, to quote Jesus again, on the cross he said, forgive them, they know not what they do. And why do they know not what they do? They don't know who they are, essentially. So I've talked about this, and in the hope that as I'm speaking, there is an experience in you of the depths of the present moment. Because the present moment, people think present moment is what happens. And of course, because what happens changes all the time, people say there are many present moments. If you look more deeply, of course, there are not many present moments. There's only ever this present moment. There's only this ever. So there are not many present moments. There's only the space of this moment. So there's what happens in it, and there is the space in which it happens, and that space is consciousness. And that is who you are. And when you realize that, you become free of the false sense of self, which your mind tells you something about who you are, which has to do with your history and your successes or your failures or what other people tell you who you are. A little prison. So that's really basically the essence of spirituality, which is very simple, but for some reason, it's not taught at school. All kinds of inessential things are taught at school. But what really matters, the very foundation of human life, and it's not some belief structure. I'm not saying indoctrinate children, the children must believe. It's not belief at all. It's an experience. It's a realization. That's what needs to be taught. That needs to be subject number one at school. Who am I? And everything else is easy once you have that.
Well, I'm not sure I have any more questions. We'll press on. I want to ask you about the work that we do at Google. And if you look at any given web page, it's almost a model of the mind. There's all of these jumping off points. You know, you can jump to this story or that story or Hawaii vacation, or you can jump around so easily. And in fact, the product I work on, Google+, allows me not only to examine the contents of my own mind, but all of these people's minds as well, in a flood of a stream coming at me. And I'm wondering if the real reason you've chosen to come to Google today is because we're actively working against you, and you've come to help us get over that. But more seriously, do you think there's a place for technology, and how do you make sense of the work that we're doing and how it impacts people's attention in relation to what you just described, sort of transcending the mind and going to a deeper place?
Well, the technology is quite miraculous, of course. In itself, it's neither good nor bad. I only recently, which means like 2 or 3 years, started using it. I came to it very late. I still haven't developed an addiction to it, as many people have. There are incredible possibilities here with that technology. And there's also a great danger with that technology. It could lead to contribute to the awakening, and an example of that is our gathering here, which people can apparently see on their screen. So this is just one example of how this technology can contribute to spreading a vital message. It goes far beyond any ideology or anything like that. The same thing with the work I did with Oprah some years ago. For the first time, the webinar, as they call it, went out, and for the first time the whole system broke down because so many people tuned in. And then the second week it started to work.
We don't have that problem.
So there are incredible possibilities also for humans to connect with each other. Well, that's another topic, whether they're really connecting as human beings, but also that the fact that the flow of information is no longer monopolized by the powerful few corporations, but everybody can participate in that free flow of information, having led already to all these things, the Arab Spring and all those things that have been happening recently. All that is potentially good. The danger, of course, is, and again that connects with what I've been talking about earlier, is that you get more and more inundated with information, with knowledge, with mind stuff, so that you more and more lose a deeper sense of connectedness with being, with presence, that deeper level that I talked about just now. And that would then lead to increasing confusion in your mind and an inability really to create anything new anymore. You would be just trapped in the continuously increasing mental noise. And if you look at people in this field who do come up with something really creative that is new, they all have some access to that deeper level in themselves, as I'm sure many of you have. And quite a few people don't even know that they have access to that. It just happens. They become still, and they go for a moment or a few, they go, and you connect with the power inside you. You can actually feel that the power of consciousness inside you as you become still. And there's no mind movement in that. It's a kind of open and listening that opens up. And then, after a while, the mind starts working again. And it's very often, then you have an answer, or then you have the creative solution or some new insight. But if you don't go there anymore, if you get continuously drawn only into the noise, the mental noise, then you lose touch with your own power, and you become more and more confused. And it could easily happen that what now looks like miraculous technology could, within 2 generations, could lead, I'm not saying that it will, and we are here now, so there's hope, it could lead to a complete breakdown of civilization. So here you have this miraculous technology, and 2 generations later, all humans walk around like zombies. It could happen. It's an idea for a science fiction novel, perhaps. But it could happen because it's neither good nor bad. If we are not careful, it could draw us in to such an extent that we lose ourselves in our own creation, that we have created something that's an old mythological theme. We create a kind of entity that becomes a monster, and then our own creation devours us. That could happen. It doesn't have to happen. So this is, I believe, why I've come here as a little warning. If you're not careful, then what looks so wonderful here could turn out to be a monster, but it doesn't have to be. It could turn out into something, turn into something wonderful that contributes to the awakening of humanity. We need to recognize its dangers. The danger is that this screen that you look at, of course, connects with your mind. It links into your mind, and then you link into the collective mind on the screen, and it grows and grows. The noise grows and grows, and you become more and more confused and completely uncentered. You walk around, I mean, there are youngsters who are so addicted to their screen, they can't give attention anymore to another human being, to their parents or others. There's always something, okay. What? I have an iPhone, I have to hide this here.